All right, my name is Brock Page, and we are 5-0 in our last 5 $1.99 daily best plays on BrockPage.com. And if you want to access today's $1.99 daily best play, the link for that bet is in the description section below. $1,000 bettors are now up over $4,500 during that stretch. Now, if you want to see my personal bet record, you can actually do that right now for free by going to BrockPage.com. My record's located right on the homepage for everyone to see. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on BrockPage.com is I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on this channel that I'm actually betting on personally. Now, we currently have over 900 members who are signed up and active on that website. And just remember, guys, if you sign up for a package here today on BrockPage.com, you're actually going to get access to that membership every single day, all the way through the end of March. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some NBA action. Got a huge slate here today. The Mavericks take on the Sixers, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off on Friday, March 18th, 2022. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully you're not nice and hungover here today after St. Patty's Day. But anyway, Philadelphia is -2.5, totals 220 and a hook. But despite being favored in this one, the Sixers failed to cover in their last 4 straight. They also went just 1-6 against the spread in their last 7. And when it comes to covering the number at home, Philly's actually covering in just 38% of their contests at the Wells Fargo Center. Now, my biggest area of concern for Philly is their inability to rebound the basketball. The Sixers are currently in the bottom 10 in home offensive rebounding, bottom 3 in home defensive boards as well. They're taking on a Mavericks team who's actually amongst the best in the West in defensive rebounding on the road. And speaking of road games, the Mavericks allow only 105 points per contest when they travel. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Luka Doncic is averaging 28 points a game, along with 9 rebounds and 8 assists. Meanwhile, Spencer Dinwiddie's drilling over 43% of his three-pointers. He's also scoring 17 points per contest with his new team. Now, when it comes to covering the point spread, the Mavs are currently 21-13 against the spread on the road this year, and that's good for 62% in that category. When it comes to the injury report, Bullock's out, Chris is questionable. Meanwhile, for the Sixers on the other side of things, Joel Embiid's been battling a back injury. Now, total-wise, Philly's 21-13 to the under at the Wells Fargo Center. They also went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 meetings with Dallas. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, the Mavericks went 6-3 to the under in their last 9 themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Dallas plus 2.5 and the under 220 and a hook. Next game, it is going to be Nuggets versus the Cavaliers, 7:30 p.m. East. Denver's -3 with a total at 221. And even though the Nuggets are playing some pretty good basketball right now, they did fail to cover in 4 out of their last 6, and they're actually having a tough time defending the field goal. Matter of fact, the Nuggets are in the bottom 10 in defensive field goal percentage, and they do give up the majority of their points in the fourth quarter. Now, they're taking on a Cleveland team who plays very well at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. These guys are 21-12 straight up at home this year. And they're also covering in 64% of those home games. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Darius Garland's averaging over 21 points a game, along with 3 rebounds and 8 assists. Meanwhile, Evan Mobley is scoring 15 points a night himself, 8 rebounds, couple assists for him. Now, scoring aside, this is an organization who's powered by defensive effort. The Cavs are leading the NBA in fewest points allowed per game on their home court. Now, injury-wise, Rondo and Wade are out. Meanwhile, for Denver, Najee is questionable. When it comes to the total in this one, Denver saw unders recently with Philadelphia, Golden State, and Sacramento. Meanwhile, Cleveland's 23-10 to the under in front of their home crowd. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland +3 and the under 221. Next matchup, it is going to be Grizzlies versus the Hawks, 7:30 p.m. East. Memphis is -6 with the total at 237. And even though Ja Morant's a little banged up for Memphis here, the Grizzlies are still hitting on all cylinders. If for some reason he doesn't play, I still think they can win without him. They won their last 4 straight, and they also went 7-2 straight up in their last 9. Dillon Brooks is averaging over 17.5 points a night, along with 3 rebounds, couple assists. Meanwhile, Desmond Bane, he is making 42% of his shots from beyond the arc. 17 points a night for Bane. When it comes to rebounding the basketball, the Grizzlies are actually leading the entire NBA in offensive boards per game. They're taking on an Atlanta team who's already going to work without John Collins, and they may have to go to work without their leading scorer, Trae Young. He's currently battling a quad injury. Unfortunately, Danilo Gallinari is also questionable with a biceps injury as well. When it comes to covering the point spread, well, even when these guys are mostly healthy, the Hawks really don't cash in on many tickets. These guys failed to cover in their last 7 straight, and they also covered the number in only 2 games since February 16th. Now, total-wise, I do still think this one could get over the line. Atlanta's 21-14 to the over at the State Farm Arena. Meanwhile, Memphis is 61% to the over when they travel. I'm going to lean toward Memphis -6 and the over 237. Next matchup, it is going to be Lakers versus the Raptors, 7:30 p.m. East. Toronto's -9 with the total at 225. Now, Toronto's on a 5-game winning streak, and they successfully covered the point spread in all 5 of those victories. Pascal Siakam's averaging 22 points a game this year, 8 rebounds, 5 assists for Pascal. Meanwhile, Freddie VanVleet scoring 21 points a night himself, and he's also drilling nearly 40% of his 3 balls. And aside from being one of the better defensive teams in the East, the Raptors also went 9-1 straight up in their last 10 meetings with Los Angeles. So when it comes to head-to-head meetings, it's been all Toronto. And speaking of the Lakers on the other side of things, they've won only 3 games since February 5th. They're amongst the worst road teams in the NBA. Matter of fact, LA hasn't even reached double-digit road wins yet. They're just 9-23 straight up when traveling this season. They also find themselves in the bottom 5 in points allowed per contest. Now, when it comes to head-to-head meetings, the Lakers failed to cover in 9 out of those 10 contests with the Raptors that I just mentioned a few moments ago. When it comes to the injury report, Davis and Nunn are still out. Horton Tucker and LeBron are questionable. Meanwhile, for Toronto on the other side, Anunoby and Flynn, they are listed as out for them. When it comes to the total in this one, the Raptors saw their last 2 straight fall under the line. 7-2 to the under in their last 9. Meanwhile, the Lakers saw unders with Minnesota, Toronto, and San Antonio. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Toronto -9 in the under 225. Next ball game, it is going to be Blazers versus the Nets, 7:30 p.m. East. Brooklyn's -14, totals 228. But as bad as Portland's been, the Nets really haven't been all too great at the Barclays Center this year. They're just 14-19 straight up at home this season. And they're covering the point spread in only 21% of those home games. Now, the Nets' biggest problem has actually been their offensive production at home. They're currently in the bottom 10 in home scoring. They're making just 31% of their three-pointers in front of their home fans. Certainly not something you think about when it comes to Brooklyn. But, yeah, these guys struggle offensively in Brooklyn. Now, the Blazers on the other side of things, I get it. They're terrible. But they did cover the point spread in 2 out of their last 3. And they have a winning record this year against Eastern Conference opponents. Now, Josh Hart is averaging over 18.5 points a game with his new team. 7 rebounds, 4 assists for Hart. Meanwhile, Brandon Williams is scoring over 13 points per contest himself. 3 rebounds, couple assists for Williams. When it comes to the injury report, Bledsoe, Nurkic, and Simons are still out. Meanwhile, for Brooklyn on the other side, Aldridge, Irving, Simons, and Duke are still out for them. Curry is also listed as questionable. When it comes to the number, Brooklyn saw unders with New York, Philadelphia, and Miami recently. They were also 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Portland. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. I'm going to lean toward Portland plus 14 and the under 228. Next matchup, it is going to be Wizards versus the Knicks, 7:30 p.m. East. New York's minus 5.5, totals 225. Now, the Knicks have been red hot against the number here recently. They're actually 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 straight. And they're still playing some really good defense. Matter of fact, the Knicks are currently in the top 10 in fewest points allowed per contest. Top 5 in defending the field goal as well. When it comes to offensive production in this one, Julius Randle's averaging over 20 points a game, along with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Meanwhile, RJ Barrett's averaging 19.5 points per contest himself, 5 boards, couple assists for him. They're taking on a struggling Washington team who lost their last 5 straight. And of course, they failed to cover the point spread in each and every one of those losses. Now, when it comes to playing on the road in this one, the Wizards really don't win many games when traveling. They're just 12-21 straight up away from home. And they cover the point spread in only 30% of those contests. When it comes to offensive production or lack thereof, the Wizards are averaging only 105 points a game away from the Capitol. Now, injury-wise, Carey's out for Washington. Meanwhile, for New York, Noel's out. Grimes is questionable. When it comes to the scoring, Washington saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with New York fall under the line. Meanwhile, the Knicks saw unders recently with Brooklyn, Dallas, and the Clippers. I'm going to lean toward New York minus 5.5 and the under 225. All right, guys, this has to be my next and final breakdown because I have somewhere to be in about 30 minutes. So we're going to take a look at the Pacers taking on the Rockets, 8 o'clock East. Indiana's minus 3, totals 239. Now, the Pacers did cover in 2 out of their last 3, and they're actually amongst the better rebounding teams in the East. Indiana's in the top 10 in defensive boards per contest. They're also in the top 10 in offensive boards per game on the road. Now, when it comes to the scoring, Buddy Hield's averaging nearly 20 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Meanwhile, Tyrese Halliburton's been dangerous from 3-land. He's drilling nearly 43% of his three-pointers. He's also averaging 18.5 points a night with Indy. Now, the Pacers do the majority of their scoring in the first half. They're actually in the top 10 in first quarter scoring, top 5 in second quarter scoring as well. They're taking on a terrible Houston team who won just 10 out of 33 home games. And they got the W only 3 times since January 19th. Now, the Rockets allow more points per contest than any other team in the NBA. When it comes to offensive production, they're actually dead last in rebounding on the offensive end of the court. Now, injury-wise, Gordon's questionable. Garuba's out. Meanwhile, for the Pacers, Batazzi and Duarte are questionable. Jackson is out for them. Now, the Pacers went 4-1 to the over in their last 5 outings, 70% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, Houston saw 4 out of their last 5 get over the line themselves, 61% to the over at the Toyota Center. I'm going to lean toward Indiana minus 3 and the over 239. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 5-0 in our last 5 $1.99 daily best plays. I like Dallas plus 2.5, under 220 and a hook. Cleveland plus 3, under 221. Memphis minus 6, over 237. Toronto minus 9, under 225. Portland plus 12, under 228. New York Knicks minus 5.5, under 225. Indiana minus 3, over 239. As far as all the other games go, I like Miami minus 15, over 220. San Antonio minus 3, over 237. LA Clippers plus 6, under 216.5. Sacramento plus 10, under 224 and a hook. With my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward Phoenix minus 6 in the over 230. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on BrockPage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on BrockPage.com, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of March. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet that I give out on that website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member package. Now, not only do board members get access to the board member tier bet itself, you're actually going to get access to every single package that I offer on that website all the way through the end of March. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at BrockPage.com.